Good afternoon, everyone. We were doing about the artificial neural networks, in which we have studied about that artificial neural networks are the one which mimics the human brain, and its the basic element is the neuron. So, how this neuron is used for the processing element, we have already done that. Also, in the previous class, we have learned about that how the neurons are, how the neurons are made artificially. That it is having the inputs, multiple inputs are there, x1, x2, xn. It is multiplied with the weights, and some bias is added in the summing function. The resultant is fed to the activation function, and that is gives you the output. If it is more than some particular values, that activation function may be a step function, sine function, or the sigmoid function. There are three kind of network architectures: single layer, multi-layer, and the recurrent networks. uh, we were mostly dealing with the single layer and the multi-layer network in this class. About the single layer networks, it is consist of only one layer, whereas the multi-layer network consists of the more than one layer, and that is the input layer, output layer, and the hidden layer. As we have seen in this case, we have started with the perceptron model. In the perceptron model, we have defined that perceptron is one that learns using example to assign input vectors to different classes using linear function of inputs, that is by the Rosenblatt. And by Minsky and Pepper, the definition of perceptron is perceptron as a stochastic gradient descent algorithm that attempts to linearly separate a set of n-dimensional training data. Whatever be the training data, that could be of n-dimensional data, that is linearly separable using the gradient descent algorithm, that is a perceptron. So, if the data is linearly separable, then what we are going to do in the case of perceptron, we multiply the weights with the inputs, add them up, then we will use our activation function. So activation function in this case is step. So that is your activation function. If that is true, then it will able to provide me it is as a positive example or a negative example. Some of the positive examples we have taken, some of them are negative examples. If a line is able to separate them, the positive examples from the negative examples, then that is linearly separable. If by anyhow the positive examples are not able to differentiate from the negative examples, then it is non-linearly separable. So perceptrons are the only one that can able to do the linear separation. They were not able to do the non-linear separations. This is how the perceptron learning is done. That you have given the input training set x1, x2, xn, and the targets t. That is in the case of supervised learning. So in the case of this supervised learning, first we will initialize the weight within the range of minus zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.5, and repeat these for several epochs. Epochs means the how many times this weights are updated, or until convergence. Convergence means when the target is equal to the outputs. That is your error is minimal or certain value. So what it will do, it will first calculate the network output O. That is for the given input network output O. O is calculated as the summation of Wixi, and if it is more than 0, then it will be plus 1, otherwise it is minus 1. This is how the output O is calculated in the case of perceptron. So first the perceptron will compute the network output O, then it will adjust its weight accordingly, as it will first find the change in weight as equal to the learning rate multiplied by target minus the output. Targets are those values which are given in the example, that is in the input training, in the input set for a particular x. What could be the target, that is t, and O is your output that is given by the network. So T minus O will give you the error. Then it is multiplied with the particular input Xi, so that when multiplied with the learning rate, this will give you the changing rate. So this changing rate is added up in the previous weight value to get the new weight value. So in the case of perceptron learning algorithm or the neural network learning means that we need to find the weight that is used in these points. That is, whenever it is multiplied with the unknown inputs x1, x2, x3, it will be able to provide me whether it is a positive example or a negative example. If it is true, then W0, W1, W1 will able to provide me that it is a positive example or a negative example. Suppose I have taken example that suppose you train a perceptron in which there are two balls. One is a green ball and one is a red ball, right? So that in that case, if I given my weights W1, W2, Wn, if my network is learned, if I provide the inputs, some inputs to for that ball, that it is the change in pixels, the pixel intensities, if I put these values in this, when it is multiplied by weight, then it will be able to classify it whether it is a red ball or it is a green ball. So learning of these weights are required only to for a neural network to learn. That is the perceptron model, and it is uh, effective only when it is linearly separable. This thing we have completed in the previous class. Today we will start with multi-layer feed-forward network. The difference between perceptron and a multi-layer is that it consists of more than one layer. Whereas perceptron consists of only one single layer. You give the input, multiply it with weights, then put to the activation function, you get the output. Whereas in the case of multi-layer network, there are hidden layers also present in between that, so that computation is done once again. We'll see how. Perceptrons are rather weak as computing models since they can learn only linearly separable functions. Only linear separable functions are computed by the perceptrons, so they are weak models. So we now focus on the multi-layer feed-forward networks of the non-linear sigmoidal units. The perceptrons are only linearly separable. Now to make it as a non-linear separable function, then we will use the non-linear sigmoid unit, and that formula is given by 1 over 1 plus e to power minus x. That is a function of sigmoid function. This is we have already done previously when we have learned about uh, all the functions, sigmoid function. That is 1 over 1 plus e to power minus x. So multi-layer feed-forward networks extend perceptrons. That is one layer network into n-layer network. Partition unit into layers 0 to L. It is more than one layer, so it is 0 to L layers. It consists of more than one layer. It could have any number of layers, and that number of layers are to be initially defined by the programmer while designing a multi-layer network. The lowermost layer number, layer 0, indicates the input unit, and the topmost layer number L indicates the output unit. Whatever be the input presented at the input unit is given at the layer 0. Whatever the output taken from the neural network, that is the number L, that is output unit, and the layer number 1 to L are the hidden layers. So 1 to L minus 1 specifically are the hidden layers. Connectivity means bottom-up connections only with no cycle, hence the name feed-forward. As this is also feed-forward network, so there is no output is fed back to input. So if in this, there is no cycle present. The input layer transmits The input layer transmit input value to the hidden layer, hence do not perform any computation. This thing we have seen later on as we have go more into detail. This is basically a uh, uh, 432 layer, 432 or rather 532, 532 in which there are 5 input units, that is 5 layer, sorry 5 points, so it is 5, 3 is the number of values in the hidden layer, number of nodes in the hidden layer, so 3 and 2 are the output units, so it is 532 network, that is multi-layer feed-forward network. In this case, the output O1 is not fed back to the V1 or X1. So this is a feed-forward network. This is not a backward network. Backward network are also there. We will study later on. So hidden units are nodes that are situated between the input and the output nodes. Given too many hidden units, your neural network will simply memorize the input patterns. If you provide large number of hidden units are the nodes which are present in the hidden layer. If you provide large number of hidden units, then the neural network will simply memorize the input pattern. So that it means the more number of hidden units, then that result in uh, overfitting of the data. That is, it will learn about the target functions very very good manner, in a very efficient manner. And if you provide very few number of hidden units, then the network may not be able to represent all necessary representations. So hidden units need to define a very appropriate way, because large number will memorize the input pattern and the few numbers will not able to provide the necessary representation even. Multi-layer feed-forward networks can be trained by back propagation, provided the activation function G is the differentiable function. So in this case of the multi-layer feed-forward network, we will use the back propagation. Back propagation is a gradient descent search through the parameter space to minimize the sum of squared error, whereas the perceptron is only difference of error. You have seen that in the case of perceptron model, what we have done, we have taken target minus output as an error, then that is used to find the weight, whereas in the case of multi-layer feed-forward network, the backpropagation learning is used, in which gradient descent algorithm is used, which says that that to minimize, you need to minimize the sum of squared error. Error is target minus output, and sum of squared means summation target minus output square. So in this case, the sigmoid units are, you having input W0 X0 and Wn Xn. They are added up. The same thing follows, but the activation function is sigmoid in this case, and sigmoid is 1 over 1 plus e to power minus a. And if you take 1 over 1 plus e to power minus a as the sigmoid function, and if you find a differentiation, then this is the property of the sigmoid function, that it is given by sigmoid a multiplied by 1 minus sigmoid a. This is very important property of the sigmoid function, because whenever you solve numerical basis on this, then you need this. When you need to find the differentiation of the sigmoid function, then you need to apply this property, that differentiation of the sigmoid is given by sigmoid function of a multiplied by 1 minus sigmoid function of a. This is the basis of gradient descent. So backpropagation learning is in which the inputs are the network topology, includes R unit and their connection. Some termination criteria is required. Learning rate, that is beta, is required. Initial parameter values are required, and a set of classified training data. that says what are the targets and what are the inputs, that is your training data, and the output is provided by with the parameter with the backpropagation learning as the updated parameter values. Those values are weight values, that is W1, W2 and so on. So how the output is computed in the case of backpropagation learning. We will initialize the weight of the network often randomly. Repeat this step for each example. E in the training set, you compute the output, that is the neural network output. Given if it is a starting, then start with the weights and you will get the output as sigma summation of Wi xi. Isn't it? That is forward pass. And then the teacher output for E, that is your get from the example that what could be the targets. Then compute the error out of this P minus O for the error unit. So that error is when we have done in the case of backpropagation learning, that how we will do, we compute the new weight Wj as the previous weight Wj alpha time, that is the learning rate, T minus O, that is the error, and the multiply the Ij input. For all weights from the hidden layer to the output layer first, that is the backward pass. We will do it in a backward manner, and then we will do the same from the input layer to the hidden layer, isn't it? First we will do for the backward layer to the output layer, that is the backward pass, then input layer to the hidden layer, that is again the backward pass. So with this way we will update the network. This is quite complicated. The easiest way to do this is that we will do it okay, that part is thing. We will compute the error in a way that we will compute it is T minus O square, summation T minus O whole square, and we will find its difference. Then that will given the error. I have missed that slide. Maybe that missed. I will show in the next class, or if possible, then I can show in the. Yes, I can show here from the book. So this is the gradient descent rule, in which you can see that we need to compute the error, and that error need to be computed by the please. This is the perceptron learning rule, in which the change in weight is computed by the eta times, that is the learning rate, multiplied by target minus output into the input xi, and whereas in the case of the gradient descent and the learning rule, how we will do, we will compute the output as weight vector multiplied by the input vector xi. So that is the output. This is an unthreshold perceptron, so we will not provide the sigmoid function to this. This is just the output. That output is fed as a target minus output whole square, and we will sum them out. That is your error vector. Error vector for weights we will compute with the delta rule, or as the gradient descent rule, in this way, that we will first compute the error and then find its differentiation to get its minimum value. So in that case, if I show This is the error you will compute, that is target minus output whole square, add them up, that is sum of squared error, or in short we will write it as SSE, sum of the squared error, that is error E of W. W means for the weight. Error between the weights are given, error for the weights are given as the target minus output whole square, and 1 by 2 is immaterial here because target minus output whole square summation is, that is sum of squared. So 1 by 2, or do not 1 by 2, that is does not too much matter, but for some mathematical computations we will take it as a half. Then if you compute the E for each and every point, you will see that for two vectors, say W0 and W1, if you are two weights, that is W0 and W1, if you find the error for this, then you get a surface like this. This is just an example surface. This could be any surface like a ball. So our target is to find the minimum value in this. So here is something where the minimum value you will got. So that minimum value will give you the values of W0 and W1. So that minimum value is where the error is minimized, and we can say our network is trained for the values W0 and W1. This is the basic logic behind this. So we will compute the EW vector, that is target minus output vector. Target minus output are first taken, that is sum of the squared error is taken. We take it as a error surface. The minimization of that is also computed with the differentiation. So how this is computed? The first is error vector is computed, then we will take the gradient of it. So that gradient is for each of the direction, that is for W0 and W1, or all the values. I have taken in the previous case two values to show a two-dimensional surface. It could be n-dimensional surface, and our target is to have the minimum out of it, because the minimum value would give you the W0 and W1 or Wn minimum weights. Those weights which provide the minimum error, or the difference between the targets and the outputs are minimal. So that is, the change in weight is computed as the previous weight added with the change in weight will give you the new weights, as we have done in the case of perceptron. And in this case, in the case of gradient descent, the change in weights is computed as negation of the learning rate multiplied with the gradient of your error, which is computed here in the point 4.3. Or we can also write in short this as change in weight is equal to minus negation of change, partial derivative of the E, that is your we have computed here the error, partial derivative of the error for each weight W. One thing we need to consider here, that why it is negative, why not positive, because in the case of perceptron learning we have used this as positive, whereas in the case of steep and descent, why we are saying this as negative, because the negative sign is used because we want to move the weight vector in the direction in which the E, that is your error, would decrease. Whereas in the case of perceptron, we are going to find that the direction in which the difference between the positive and the negative sample would increase. So that is taken the positive. Whereas in this case, it is taken the negative. So the we will use the change in weight as minus learning rate and the partial derivative of the error E. Error E is half summation target minus output. Now if you solve this, then this would come out to be, if you take the partial derivative of error with respect to the weight for each weight points, then this is half, error is half t minus O whole square, where D is shown for the each example D. Capital D is your the training data. So if we solve this, the summation and the differentiation are the interchangeable. So they are, summation is taken inside and the summation, differentiation taken inside and summation outward. If you solve this, then this is simple mathematics. I suggest you to solve this. If you still have any problems, you can ask. If you solve this, you will get the change in error as, that is equal to the weight, that is uh, t minus o into xid. That is the same case we were getting in the case of uh, perceptron learning algorithm. So the gradient descent and the perceptron are one and the same thing, but they are doing in a different manner. So uh, the gradient descent algorithm, for the training linear unit, as it pick up the random bit. Okay, I have shown that this to you. Uh, Now we will come back here. But this is how we will follow the gradient descent. First we will compute the uh, first we will compute the weights. First we will initialize the weights. Then we will compute the weight in a manner that first compute the output, then target minus outputs would give you the t minus o. Then compute the alpha times error into ij, where this is alpha times error is, alpha is same here as eta, that is learning rate. Some write it as alpha, some write it as eta, and t minus o, that is target minus output. Here it is error. Here it is shown that error is t minus o in capital. Here it is shown that t minus o in small. That is one and the same thing, but it is shown as summation here. Here the summation is not shown, so here it is shown as a vector, where here it is shown as a single value. So this is, both are one and the same thing, where it is shown here as a vector, then it is multiplied with the ij, that is your inputs. So here it is xid. Both are one and the same thing, but it is, here it is shown in different way, and here it is shown in a different way. So whenever you learn from more than one source, please don't get confused. All are saying the same thing, but still I have given you a suggestion that if you are doing if you do any practical example over it, then you will learn the things more. As just doing it theoretically would not get you the things, because uh, sometimes practically you need to make it as a vector. So you have to solve in a vectorized form, whereas otherwise these inputs are present as some real number values, as 2.1, 3.1, 4.1, as some real values. You need to combine them as a vector, and you need to sort them as a vector. So in the previous class I have also suggested to you that do some examples with Medium. Go to the medium.com or some other sites which can show number of examples. You go from them, try to learn these so that you can get the outputs, isn't it? So you can learn the things uh, perfectly. So this is how they are doing with the gradient descent and with the perceptron learning algorithm. They will compute the error between the hidden node. That is, you need to compute the, if you are doing the multi-layer perceptron model, then you need to do it for uh, hidden layer weights and the hidden to output layer weights and to hidden to the input layer weights. you need to train the two kinds of weight. One is the weight at from V1 to O1, or another kind of weight is from X to V. These two kinds of weight you need to find in the case of multi-layer perceptron model. So for these you need to find Wj for hidden layer to output layer and the output to hidden layer. So these two weights you need to find. One thing here I have to I have to show that few examples with the perceptron rule and the rule that is not shown in the PPT. Uh, yes. So in this case, you can see that the perceptrons are used, and the perceptron is used to implement an AND function. So AND function, you know that it is an AND function when uh, it will provide the output as 1 when both the inputs are 1. Now consider this as an AND function, then it is having the two inputs x1 and x2. So when either of the input x1 and x2 are both, if any of them is 0, then output is 0. If both of them are 1, then only the output would be 1. So here we are using the output as plus 1 and minus 1. Minus 1 represent here 0. So if you take some threshold, that is for example 0, then in the case of perceptron we need to fix the weight. So if we implement the AND function, then you can see we can set the weight W0 as W0 is the input weights, that is weights which are given for the fixed input x0 equal to 1. So W0 is set to 0.8, W1 and W2 are set to 0.5. When you do this and compute the output in this form, that is summation Wi xi, and pass it to the step function in which the output is 1 for when the summation Wi xi is more than 0, otherwise it is minus 1. So if you give it 1 1, then only this will result in 0.5 plus 0.5 as 1, and the weight is multiplied by 0.8. So that would give you 0.2, which is more than 0. For all other values, you will get the negative value of summation Wi xi. So I suggest you that you must write this, that how this perceptron is doing, implementing an AND function for the weights 0.8, W0 and W1, W2 as 0.5. Similarly, the same perceptron can be able to implement the OR function. So how the OR function can be implemented? If you simply change the W0 to 0.3, then the AND function changes to the OR function. So for the OR function, your W0 is 0.3, W1 and W2 are set to 0.5, then that would result in an OR function. So why this AND and OR function are made? So by this perceptron, we can make AND and OR because we need to set W0, W1, W2. All these values are preset. All other function can also made with this AND, OR, NAND, NOR, but we cannot make the XOR function with this. Can anybody tell why XOR function is not made due to this? I have given some example already because of this. Can anybody of you tell that why we cannot make the XOR function? The simple reason is that the perceptron basically learns about the linear separation. So where the positive R can be linearly be separated from the negative ones. So when the linear separation is possible, we can go with the perceptron. When the linear separation is not possible, as in the case of XOR, there are positive samples and there are negative samples. So when the linear separation is not possible, perceptron cannot be used. Similarly, in the XOR function, we cannot use the perceptron. The reason is simple, because it is not linearly separable. This thing they may ask in the question. So any Boolean function can be made with the perceptron model, but not the XOR. So to make the XOR, you need to have at least two perceptrons to get the XOR function. So this thing I have already told you. Then we will study about some advantages and disadvantages of the neural networks. These are also very important. The neural network advantage is that it is provide the distributed representation. It is simple in computation, robust with respect to the noisy data, robust with respect to the node failure, empirically shown to work well for many problem domains, and it is a massively parallel processing system. So these are some of the advantages of the neural networks. About some of the disadvantages of the neural networks are, in the neural network the training is slow, the interpretability is hard, neural network topology layouts ad hoc, means it is not at the one particular point, they may be presented at different points, that is ad hoc layout, can be hard to debug, may converge to a local, not global minimum error. In the case of a neural network, we have seen that we need to make this as a global minimum, but this surface is shown that in which the one minimum is present. But if there is a surface that is a rough surface in which there is not one minimum, if that is the case, in which there is not one minimum, then it can converge to the local minimum. That does not guarantee that it's a global minimum or not. So the one of the disadvantage of the neural network is that it may converge to local minimum. The another disadvantage of the neural network is that it is not known how to model higher level cognitive mechanism. Higher level mechanism cannot be made with the neural network. Neural network can able to solve some specific problems, but it is not able to solve the higher level models. May be hard to describe a problem in terms of feature with numerical values. Sometimes whatever you think that maybe a neural network can solve, but it is not able to provide them with a particular numerical weight value that we need to learn. Some of the applications where neural networks are used in the classification, we will use them for image recognition, speech recognition, diagnostic, fraud detection, face recognition. Face recognition means that you are providing the multiple faces and it will able to tell that this is Devansh, this is Devendra, isn't it? So it will able to differentiate between them. So this is where we can use the neural network, because we are mimicking the human brain. The another kind of application is the regression applications, in which we need to provide the values, the future values, what could be the next future values. For example, forecasting in the case of on the basis of past history. For example, in the case of stock market, we can tell what could be the future prices. We could use also the neural network in the case of pattern association. Likewise, retrieving an image from a corrupted one. Suppose an image has been corrupted, then neural network can retrieve that image with the pattern association, that how this pattern is associated with the next coming pattern. Another application where we can use the neural networks are the clustering. whereas in the case of client profiles or the disease subtypes, um, where we can use the neural network. These are some of the applications of neural network. So with this, we will end this part of uh, neural networks, artificial neural network. If you have some doubt, you can ask.